Hi, Lindsay. Thank you very much for coming to meet Joyce and I at Birthdays. Just first of all, if you want to introduce yourself, I'll introduce you. This is Lindsay from HaveYouSeenThatGirl.com. And Lindsay, over to you. Just want to ask you first, how did Have You Seen That Girl come about?
So hi everyone, thanks so much for having me on to join you. Have You Seen That Girl today is a website, blog and a movement, but it didn't start out that way. It started out very simply in that I really struggled with antenatal and postnatal depression and anxiety, and I struggled for 2 years until I was diagnosed and got treatment. But as I began to recover, I thought I'd love to be able to share a bit of my story and reach out to maybe a friend or a family member, particularly through social media, who might be going through the same thing, and so they know they're not alone. And so I simply started to write my story, and I thought I might write about 6 blog posts, but the more I wrote and the more I shared, things just really took off, and lots of people started to get in touch, mums to share their experience, and grannies to say I'm a bit worried about my daughter, or aunties to say I'm worried about my niece, who should I go to and where should I signpost them to. And so quite quickly, within a year, it really developed into what it is now, which is an organisation that campaigns for better services for perinatal mental health here in Northern Ireland, that raises awareness of the importance of maternal mental health, both for mums, but also among healthcare professionals and the rest of the community and society, so that we all know how important it is, and then signposts mums and dads to help and support. So we do lots of different things throughout the year, but those are our real goals, and with what we want to achieve with Have You Seen That Girl. It's all volunteer led, and so I do it as a volunteer, and lots of people join me, and we do lots of crowdfunding and events throughout the year to sustain our work.
It's absolutely amazing. It's amazing how many people just needed, I suppose you were just there as the interim, just to put it down on paper, to have it as a blog, and then people could relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, I really wasn't expecting it. I mean, I imagined I would get the odd friend messaging me to say, you know, read your story, sorry to hear what you've been through. But I mean, I was getting messages from people I'll never meet, you know, and from right across Northern Ireland and the UK, just to share theirs.
They were suffering really in silence, nearly, were they? A lot.
Yeah, I think they were just, you know, I suppose it's that when you hear your story reflected in somebody else's, it's that like, oh, I'm not alone, or it's even just that community that comes from knowing somebody else has been there. So sometimes it literally was just a quick chat to say, same here, snap, let's keep in touch. Other times it was, I really don't know what to do and I don't know where to turn for help and support. And so I became aware very quickly that I definitely had a responsibility to make sure I could signpost on really well. And so I started to work alongside lots of different charities and some of the Royal Colleges to make sure that I was doing that properly, so that any mum who did come to me would find this help and support they needed.
Super. And I suppose that leads on to women out there. When should I seek help? You know, when is the right time to reach out and talk to people? You know?
Well, I would say as soon as you think you might need help and support, you should absolutely reach out and ask for it. And I suppose the reality is, for some mums, particularly new mums, particularly in those first few weeks or months, sometimes we don't always realise ourselves we're struggling, because actually it is quite overwhelming anyway, having a new one. Things are very busy. It's very normal to be tired. And it's normal to feel a bit anxious and all of that. But sometimes it's somebody else who's with us, maybe a partner or a family member or a friend, who will think, oh, that's a bit outside of the norm, or maybe I wasn't quite expecting that reaction. So sometimes it might be somebody else who might notice it and ask the question and then encourage us to get help and support. But I would say to any mum, if you are feeling low or down, or you're feeling like you're struggling, or you just feel like you're not feeling yourself for a more prolonged period of time, so the odd day here and there is probably quite normal, but if there's any more than that, absolutely ask for help and support. And if you're not sure, ask. There's nothing wrong with asking somebody if you think things aren't as they should be.
Now, in Northern Ireland here, what local services are available for mums needing support, or where do you go?
So your first port of call should normally be, say, your health visitor or your midwife, or definitely your GP. So I suppose it depends what stage of antenatal or postnatal you're at, whether you're in touch with your midwife or your health visitor, but definitely talk to one of those if you are. If not, go and see your GP. And they can signpost you, they can maybe provide medication, might be able to even provide talking therapies. But that aside, there are also lots of wonderful community and voluntary sector organisations here in Northern Ireland that particularly support mums' mental health. And so So on Have You Seen That Girl website, I have a page full of lots of different organisations. So if you click on there, you'll see lots of links to those, because there's peer support, there's community, there's mental health support, there's all sorts of different things that make sure that mum can be as well as possible.
That's lovely. Thank you, Lindsay. And what would be the things that you would say would be useful for mums for promoting good mental health? What are the things that they can maybe practically do, and particularly during this period of lockdown and now coming out of lockdown, because it can be coming out of lockdown can really be anxious time for mums as well. You know, life is changing again. Coming out of lockdown, there's the excitement, but sometimes maybe anxiety in relation to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, I have talked to a number of mums, some who are very excited about the idea of things going back to what we might call normal, and others who are just really unsure, particularly maybe if they had their first baby during lockdown, and so they don't know anything else. They've never experienced anything else as a mum. And my first thing would always be to say, go easy on yourself. You know, so if you are feeling anxious or worried, that's okay. Don't expect yourself to be singing and dancing. And remember that you have been through a really difficult period. We've all been through that. So have realistic expectations for what you expect of yourself. We're all very good at beating ourselves up with I should do, or I can't do. And we feel that stigma of blame and shame on ourselves. But really importantly, I would say that any mum who's feeling a bit unsure about the future, to talk to somebody. So talk to your partner, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, talk to another mum, come along to a support group, and find out that actually many other people are thinking the same way that you are. And just remember that you're not alone. I know sometimes we say that and it sounds a bit cliche, because actually sometimes you do feel really alone, and lockdown probably has felt lonely at times, and that's the reality of it. But you aren't alone. There are many other mums and families and parents out there who can offer you friendship, help and community in the months ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for joining us and for those very simple, straightforward answers to all the questions. We are going to link your website at the end of this so that everybody can see it, and we hope to cascade all this information. All the best for the rest of your busy week, Perinatal Mental Health Awareness. So thank you again. And we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.